Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Colonel Kniseley.
There you go. Hold them up for us.
You like that?
We get to say hi to you before. What a song.
You like that?
I like that song.
It's perfect, right? All right, everyone. So thank you very much for coming. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's panel discussion on industry perspectives on commercial space integration, innovation, and we are going to talk about CASR, the Commercial Augmentation Space Reserve. But, first, I do want to make an announcement. We do have a birthday in our ComSo family. We have a little boy out there named Jeff Rollison. So if you do know Jeff, please wish him a happy birthday. He's got a bright future ahead of him, and we're very happy about the man that he's becoming. So happy birthday, Jeff. Yeah. So I must say it is awesome to finally be on this side of the table. I'm usually with where you guys are, getting all the hard questions and everything. So I do want to say thank you very much to the Space Force Association for probably giving me the most power I've ever had in my entire career. So I'm very excited to be here, and and the good thing is, if I don't like your question, I could just move on. So stop throwing so much shade to the government, everybody, and everything. So it's an exciting time in the space industry. What was once the exclusive domain of government programs is now a dynamic, multi-stakeholder ecosystem driven by innovation, collaboration, and bold ambitions. The increasing participation of the commercial enterprises has reshaped how we approach space exploration, satellite deployment, resource utilization, and even plans for human settlement beyond Earth. Today, we will explore what it takes to fully integrate commercial capabilities into the broader space sector. From technological advancements to partnerships and sustainability considerations, the dialogue we are about to have can help us define how industry and government can both better work together to unlock the true potential of space. Also, as the Space Force looks to execute the Commercial Augmentation Space Reserve framework, in order to integrate game-changing commercial capabilities in peacetime and ensure those capabilities are scalable and surgible across the spectrum of conflict, what are the positives and the challenges of this endeavor? Our panelists represent a wealth of expertise across commercial space. They are at the forefront of innovation and policies driving the unprecedented era of transformation, growth, and opportunity. So what I'd like to do is get started by introducing our esteemed panelists. First, Tim Bode, Senior Space Solutions Architect at Leidos. Fred Taylor, Vice President, Space and Cyber Applications at ViaSat. Brad Cheetham, CEO and President at Advanced Space. Jason Kim, CEO at Firefly. Lee Rosen, co-founder, CEO, and President at ThinkOrbital. And Jason Mallare, Vice President of Global Solutions at Umbra Space. There you go. You paid him. That's good. I like that. So let's jump right into the questions. And first, I'd like to start with Lee, who's one of our more vocal panelists. So this ought to be real good.
Oh, watch out, Kniseley.
I got you. So ThinkOrbital is an innovative small company getting after the space access, mobility, and logistics mission area, as well as some space domain awareness solutions. We both know it can be difficult to navigate the innovation ecosystem. Can you elaborate on some of the challenges you have as a small business and how the government could modify its practices and make it less difficult?
You're supposed to fix this.
I try.
Come on, man. No, and I've been around this business a long, long time, and I still don't know anything about how to do business with the government, which is absolutely crazy as a 23-year acquisition and space operator in the Air Force. It's hard to believe that it's difficult to navigate, right? And I think everyone will agree that there's a lot of different governments out there, right? So your question is hard to answer because there's just so many different entities. And I think you're standing up of ComSo, and what you're trying to do with the front door is a super noble effort to try to consolidate as much of that as possible, right? And I think it's hard to say we need a one-stop shop or there is a one-stop shop, but man, it is just hard to navigate the multiple different facets of government. And then some of the requirements that we have to go through, we're a small but mighty organization of 13 full-time equivalents, right? Just the resources it takes to answer the mail when you come out with an SBIR proposal or things like that is kind of beyond the pale, right? And this is for a relatively small amount of money that doesn't keep you going for very long. So as far as fixing the solution, I'd like to see you guys kind of get some, I don't know, not purpose, but focus. I know what your purpose is. Let's call it focus on, a few really great technologies, great capabilities that you're going after with problems and focus on those versus kind of the peanut butter spread that we seem to see today. So one organization, and let's focus kind of the resources that you do have, the small amount of resources you do have. So there's my answer.
Awesome.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. And for all of the other panelists, if there is something else that you do want to add, just feel free to jump in, and if I don't like the answer, I'll move on to the next person. So that does lead me to Brad. So Advanced Space has been doing amazing things with Cislunar and has the capabilities that could serve many customers. What are the key lessons learned from these missions that can be applied to future commercial space endeavors? And what are the challenges you have working with the DoD?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir, and thank you to the SFA for putting on such a great event. By way of analogy, if I could start with Cislunar, as you mentioned in your question, my team with our mission partners has been operating the capstone mission for NASA at the moon for over 2 years. And that we have a full-scale model of that satellite. It's a very small satellite, so we could fit a full-scale model in the exhibit hall. So I encourage you all to go check that out and talk with our team. But I introduced that as an example because getting to the moon, getting to the launch pad, and then getting to the moon and then flying there for 2 years has presented our team with a lot of challenges. Did you know you can freeze hydrazine and then thaw it out and use it again? That was a fun fact I didn't know until we had an anomaly and our hydrazine froze. So fun facts, these are the lessons that we've learned. But the key there is that my team's specialties are in trajectory design, systems engineering, navigation, optimization, these areas. We did not have in-house prop team to do this. So when we ran into an issue with our spacecraft, we had to go bring in that partner. And so by way of analogy, I think as we think about what we have at Advanced Space, what we can bring to the fight to support the Space Force as well as other partners, I think it really comes down to having that team. It's a team sport, right? We have to be able to bring those partnerships in. I think partner to win, right? We've heard a couple times this week. And so as I think about that, and I apply that not just to XGO and Cislunar, which is exciting and we love operating there, but also as we think about how we do domain and situational awareness and geo and below, how we deploy systems for autonomy, how we get analysis and operations at scale and at speed. All of these challenges require, I think, that team effort. And I'll sort of focus on three, I think, key things that we need to do collectively. I don't think it's not the government or the industry, it's both of us have to work on these things together, is to figure out how to have relationships. And so I think events like this are key to have those conversations. My team right now is meeting with some of the PEO leadership. It's, I think, a great opportunity to build those relationships. And then I think as a national security customer or partner, there's sort of two other ones that are not as complicated when we talk about partnering with NASA or commercial partners, and that is access and facilities, right? So having the ability to have the conversations in the appropriate environments, and then, having the appropriate environments to do some of the sensitive work that is a necessary requirement of national security. Those two things, I think, are challenges that we can get after, hopefully upstream of it being urgent, right? These things take time, and they should take time, but we need to get ahead of them. And so I think as we look at how can we improve that, I think it's relationships, access, and facilities would be the three I'd poke at.
Awesome. All right, thank you. So let's move to a mission area that I do find near and dear to my heart, which is launch. And we all love launching rockets and that mission. So Jason, Firefly has made significant strides in developing launch vehicles. What innovations are you most excited about in the next generation of launch technology? And what changes can the government make in the procurement methods to capitalize on these technologies?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on this panel. I really appreciate what you're doing for the Space Force and the nation, and hats off to the Space Force Association. People would not shut up about me missing last year, and they said, you have to go to this, so I'm here. What I would say is that I really think I'm looking forward to, and I really believe in responsive space missions. Last year, and I'm still processing it, I think I'm like my fellow panelists, I probably lost like 10 years from that one mission because it was high stakes, critical, and also very stressful. But I'm so proud of the team on both sides, the payload side and the launch side, for getting that done. Because what it did was, I think everyone would agree that it really showed the whole world what the U.S. is capable of doing when we need to go defend our nation. To and from space. And, I still am processing what General Saltzman said about it a month later after we launched in September. It was like the, Space Force's version of Chuck Yeager, flying at, the speed of sound, breaking the speed of sound in an X-1B Bell, airplane. Well, that's what he said Firefly did with the Alpha rocket. And so it's things like that I'm still just processing, because I'm like, what just happened? But if you look at what made that happen, we did the whole 60-hour deliver the spacecraft to the launch site, fuel it up, encapsulate it on the adapter, put it on the launch vehicle when you had a 24-hour call-up, and then launch. We couldn't do that alone. I mean, we had a whole Space Force behind us, from not just the contracting side, but also the IT side. There's no pass on cybersecurity, right? You still have to go through all those ATO packages and all that scanning and patching. So that's one thing you don't hear much about, but we had to do it. And then on top of that, just the logistics of handling fuel on base and all that kind of thing. That's an afterthought, but not in these condensed timelines. Then there's regulatory things with the FAA, and I could just go on and on and on. But if there's technologies that can improve the logistics of getting things approved faster in a more condensed timeline, getting fuel on base and getting all the escape training that you need, making sure you have spare consumables, doing all the orbitology and things that you need to do, and work with the FAA on no-fly and all that kind of stuff. And then just that close partnership, like our friends were saying, that you really need everybody to work together. I saw aerospace rolling up their sleeves, all the Guardians as well, and then all the players, Millennium and Firefly working together. But I think the biggest thing that I'd love to see that could really help the nation is think about multi-launch agreements. Don't wait right now. The predictability and stability that multi-launch agreements give the rocket industry, that means we have a legitimate documented signal that we could start ordering long lead items, and the right long lead items. We could store them, we could have inventory, we could work with our supply chain to hold their own inventory. But that kind of signal would be the biggest flex that CAS or commercial can do, is set up a multi-launch agreement. I like the number 100. I mean, let's start with 100, but we can negotiate that. But I think my competitors would love that too. Give them 50, give us 50, give them the others 50, and then you buy the drink when you need it. But don't let the contracting be what gets in the way of your timeline. So that's what I would recommend.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Jason, obviously Victus Nox was a seminal event and an amazing opportunity to kind of see. And I liked how you said responsive missions and not responsive launch, right? And we have to think about it from a mission context perspective, right? And if you look at like the Army, right? The Army doesn't keep all their tanks here in the U.S. and then have to deploy them in case Russians come across the Ukrainian border. We're like doing forward basing. So I think we've got to think about kind of this as a holistic mission set and learn from other services and respond on our timeline versus our enemy's timeline, right?
Those are really good points as far as the logistics tail, especially on the government side, and the infrastructure that is going to need to be put in place in order to really make this a mission capability and not just a, launch on demand, but, treat this as a true mission survivable capability. No, thank you, Jason. I'm thinking about it, but I'll go to Fred next. Commercial SATCOM, is near and dear to my heart, with COMSO and Cisco partnership. But it's also one of our more robust commercial mission areas. ViaSat's been a leader in satellite communications. So how do you see your role as far as satellite communications? How is that evolving in the commercial space industry now that PLEO communication capabilities are redefining the market?
Well, thank you for the question, and appreciate the opportunity to be here and a chance to talk to all the Guardians and this esteemed panel, and even Lee. So it's good to be here. That's a really good question, and I think a lot of focus has been put on to LEO and proliferated LEO. We primarily operate GEO with some of the highest capacity satellites in the world and be able to deliver those capabilities. We've seen the market change, and we've seen the requirements change. And as individuals, users, warfighters figure out new ways to use comm, so before you had satellites, how did you do that? I mean, you've evolved from carrier pigeons to aircraft to line of sight to beyond line of sight capabilities that are provided by space. And you start looking at these areas of LEO and GEO and MEO. There's been a lot of attention on orbits, and we think about orbits and there are capabilities that are provided from different orbits. There are advantages between what you want to use from a LEO constellation or GEO constellation or MEO. But that concentration on orbits, in some ways, is maybe more of a focus as opposed to concentration on effects. By having the advantages that are provided from operating in different regimes and different orbital regimes, you want to deliver the effect. And the comment here from Lee and Jason a little bit was about mission. So what is the right mission or what is the right capability that you need to deliver the mission effect? So ViaSat as a space-based internet service provider is not focused necessarily on the asset. It is focused on what is the network of the capabilities of the things you put together to deliver that effect. So when you start thinking more broadly, take advantage of everything. Take advantage of different assets, different orbits, different capabilities to accomplish the mission. But the key area behind all of this is not trying to focus on a single regime, but is thinking about interoperability. How do you take advantage of interoperability to be able to operate across different capabilities, orbits, regimes, systems, and deliver those effects? And at the end of the day, that interoperability and the opportunity to roam and maneuver across a communication space gives more resilience and greater deterrence. So those advantages are things that we want to think about, and think about not only for commercially, but also for our warfighter missions. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Fred. Next, hybrid space architectures. They are becoming a cornerstone of resilient and adaptable systems in space. Tim, as Leidos has been successfully learning and executing with the Joint Commercial Ops Cell and the SDA TAP Lab, can you elaborate on some of the challenges and opportunities you see as commercial capabilities continue to be integrated into our space enterprise?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, Colonel Kniseley and SFA. Yeah, had the opportunity to engage with JCO and actively participate in the SDA TAP Lab with Major Sean Allen, and with a background in command and control and kind of seeing the capabilities that Leidos has been able to build along with other companies. It's been cool to see the amount of commercial capability that can be brought to bear to this problem set in the TAP Lab. I know Sean Allen's here, he can correct me on the number, but Cohort 5 is underway right now, and there are literally dozens of companies with commercial analytics, commercial sensors that can be brought to bear on the problem of SDA, space battle management. So absolutely awesome to see both domestic companies, international companies bringing that capability, and hats off to Major Allen. He has got the bull by the horns, wrangling all this capability into a construct where you can see the value, assess the value, and then make decisions on how to transition that. So hats off to Major Allen for that. From a gaps perspective, a challenges perspective, I think we're leaving a lot of low-hanging fruit as we look at all these commercial capabilities and think about kind of what General Whiting said, where from a space command focus, we need to be able to operationalize. So how do we do that? I think we need to take a harder look at things like command and control and orchestration systems that might exist on the other side of that, classified wall that can, in real time, in a fashion that can be scaled, reach out and leverage commercial capabilities, potentially with, complete automation, no operator in the loop, to be able to roll those capabilities in, on the time scales that the operators need. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to practice that we aren't taking advantage of. I would imagine when Firefly launches rockets, Jason's got TSBI coming down from that rocket, unclassed data, live data, that looks probably a lot like, or can look a lot like, I know this, we've done this, like OPIR data. Give that to Major Allen. Let him queue, no kidding, launch to custody, to characterization kill chains with live data, completely unclassified. And let's take that next step to really evaluate, how well can these commercial sensors and analytics do the job. I think when you get to that point, you can take the next step and say, we've got live data in this specific example. We know how to data cloak, obfuscate OPIR data. Let's get that to commercial sensors. Let's integrate that and take that next step towards automation. So tons of work being done, incredible capability out there. I think we need to take the next step. I think right now on the SSC calendar, the race to resiliency, we've got 385 days to 2026. We need to take those next steps pretty quickly, automate, operationalize, and really integrate commercial.
Awesome, thank you, Tim. So what you just said dovetails really nice into partnerships, and obviously that's been a common theme across all the panelists. But as commercial and military capabilities continue to be integrated together to create an effect, there is increased collaboration between the IC and DoD, including launch, Silent Barker, commercial offices, and even TAC SRT. But there is still work that needs to be done. So Jason, as Umbra Space specializes in synthetic aperture radar technology, can you share some of your insights into these relationships and some of the obstacles and confusion for commercial companies?
Definitely. Yeah, thank you, Colonel, SFA, Guardians. Thank you for having us here. Really a privilege. Two things that come to mind immediately are urgency and purpose. I hope we all can hear the footsteps, our peers, our near peers, in engaging with our friends in Europe. There's a lot of concern, and I want to use this opportunity just to make sure that we all feel that urgency and wake up each day and ask ourselves, remind ourselves, what's our purpose? What are we doing here to help what's coming and to help the mission? Certainly, I do. The other thing is, we are really at an inflection point and a golden era of investment in the commercial realm. Private equity, the availability of commercial technology, what the commercial industry has done, is doing, is truly remarkable, and it really is incumbent on us to make sure that we are taking maximum advantage of it as we continue to move forward with urgency and purpose. Umbra is one of those companies. We operate, as the Colonel said, a synthetic aperture radar systems out of the U.S. and very proud to do that. We partner with the DoD and the IC and are thrilled to be doing that. To answer the specific question, I've got three kind of points I wanted to lay out. That's confusion that we see. So, our primary business model is own and operate small sats, synthetic aperture radar imaging systems, high resolution, affordable data for defense and intel missions primarily, civil missions, commercial missions as well. And the